Hi guys, it's me again. And so here is a weekly reading with the animal medicine, and this is the crow. So the crow, I have pulled this before for you guys. This is the law and not man's law. Like a lot of scrutiny about laws and mandates and what's the law and what's the rules and all of that. And this card, I've pulled it before, but we'll maybe go a little deeper into it. The crow is about spiritual law, universal law, the real law. Some of you might say God's law, not man's law. And I think what we're finding is we're all these man's law kind of illusion kind of stuff. You're like, why was that a law? Was it a law? Why was I following that? Why did I even bother doing that? I mean, we are going to collectively come to a place that we're going to have to admit that we've been duped. That, people were not being truthful, and we considered that the law of the land. And the real law, being universal spiritual law, is so different than even man's law, and then these like phony mandates and other control measures. I think this, I'm going to get deeper into this because this card, the second time that it showed up, maybe the third in a couple years actually, at this point is saying, no. We get back to universal law. And what's really important about what we're doing, who we are, what are we as a human race, and it doesn't matter what like outside structures, Capricorn, collapsing structures want to put in these mandates, laws, restrictions, things like that. And I think we're getting to a place where like, what is the real law? What is the real, we're looking for morality, I think. What is our morality as a human race? And we're figuring that out. And in some ways it's endearing figuring that out, but we have another, side to everything that's coming in, trying to actually create laws, like phony laws. So while you're trying to figure out what is really spiritual, what would the universe be asking of me, what is important, what are my consequences, things like that, you have this other false matrixy thing happening that's saying, oh, no. We'll tell you what the law is. This is the spiritual law. This is the human law. This is the way we operate. I think this is funny because this gets into our social interactions, right? Because there's certain agreements or bargains or things that we've always done spiritually that are correct, right? You just can't come onto my property and just take my stuff. I'm protected by the law. Whose law? That's man's law, right? And you're about to see when that collapses, how are you particularly protected? I think you need to look at like, what is your actual protection here? Because they change rules. These are people putting this in place. They're no different from you. They've just appointed themselves as lawmakers. A law, like we're going to tell you what the law of the land is. And I'm seeing things, maritime law. And what are our rights exactly? Oh my gosh, this goes into so much stuff this way. And not conspiracy theory and not even politics. Just as a sovereign being, what is the law here? What are you allowed to actually do to me? And if I say no, and I'm like, no, I'm not bargaining in on this. No, you cannot do that. What does it mean for you? Can they keep pursuing that? Can they actually hurt you, attack you? And they make sure that, they put people in place that they do attack them, and they do say, see what'll happen to you if you don't follow our phony laws. Oh, this is asking us to really stand up and stand in the truth. This card actually has a lot to do with justice and the truth, and sometimes your truth and the timeline that you're in. I think we could argue about what is the truth. The truth is whatever timeline you are in the moment is your truth. That is the truth for the moment. It's not going to always line up with other people's truths. But I will say this, we need to definitely have our eyes open, our minds open, because I'm sorry, the crow is also anything that's false or anything that's coming in to attack you is going to call it out. So you're going to see stuff that doesn't follow spiritual law that's going to come into your awareness, and for you to be able to integrate and go back into what is my moral compass? What is my universal law? I don't care what kind of law they're saying. And who are they? Anyway, you're going to find out real fast. These people are like self-appointed leaders or rulers and hijacking your life. So back to spiritual law. Every time I pull this card, I say, get back to spiritual law, which is not law of the land, maritime law. I like how people are getting hung up on that, and that's how we'll get our freedom back. Really, the bottom line is that you operate under universal law, karmic law, causational kind of law. So if you don't want to go there, that's fine. You can hook up with these little phony laws that are in place. They're never going to save you from true spiritual law, universal law. So karma that you accrue, you say, well, I did that. It was okay under the law. Whose law? A politician's law, corrupt people's law, and then you impose that on other people. This is kind of a comeuppance card, I feel like. We're in a place with Saturn, for sure, that comes back around and says, hey, we'll see who gets the gifts and, I hate to use this word, punishment. Who is going to see some bad consequences, some just consequences in general. And I hate these people. I'm not going to say it's bad or it's good or whatever. If it's coming through your life, it feels either bad or good. So they should just shut up, because it feels one way or the other. It's either bad or good. And with Crow, it's letting you know what side of the law you were on. And I reiterate, not man's law, not politicians' law, and not like we're seeing all these unelected people trying to create law. This is wanting you to take your power back and say, this is the law for me. I live under this law, not an imposed law, not what you tell me is the law. And we better step up and say, no, you don't tell me what the law is. Now, it's different. So spiritual law, let's be clear. You don't get to just steal or take what you want or sleep with who you want, or just, you know what I mean? It's not a free-for-all, but it is not exactly man's law either, where they just create circumstances and laws and tell you, well, this is the way we're going to morally operate. No. Get back to where spiritually you understand. I think this is some of the confusion, and this is making people very out of their mind, very crazy, because they're like, that's not a spiritual law. Who would be able to do that? If you just attack people this way, I mean, why would we even exist here anymore? We're going to have to start to challenge that. Like, you're challenging our very existence. And that is some man's law bullshit that you all are creating to benefit you. So at this point, start empowering yourself that the law and lawlessness, and you're seeing it come out also, where you're finding out that people are liars, betrayers, the news, the whatever it takes to let you know that there is betrayal. They set their own set of frequency and laws and tell you that this is the moral high ground. You already knew what the moral high ground is. Don't you ever abandon that. You stay in the place that you know is the true law, the karmic law. So, and if you get too far away from that, I don't know what to say for you. I guess they'll make your life temporarily easy. Temporarily is the key word, easy. You might access things easier or whatever. Is that what you want? Because in another year or two, they changed that fake law again on you. And oh, now we're going this direction. Oh, you thought you were going to have it. Now you're not. And that's what narcissists do. And I work with so many of you getting over narcissistic relationships. They hold a carrot out of some sort of moral high ground that they make up. They make it up. It's not even true. And yet you're always fighting to get to the carrot. It'll be my time. You will finally recognize me. You will finally, that is just, it's a way of keeping you to shut up and put up. So smarten up, my friends, smarten up. What is the real moral high ground here? What is the law? What is the real truth to you? Can you stand in it? How strong are you? Can you be strong? I know that all of you that are listening to this, that are in my private circles or whatever, you have worked and you know what it means to be strong in your own right and push past all of the mental things that screw with you constantly and tell you you're wrong and everything. I know what kind of work that is. And that is to get back to spiritual law. So I think it'll be appreciated for sure, just in your timeline that you're choosing for you to stay in a spiritual law, not made up stuff, this way, that way. And they change it on a dime too. That should tell you that it holds no weight. It only holds the weight if you agree. So stop agreeing to false law. We all know that there is an underlying law of what's right and wrong. And I think that's what drives us nuts, is socially being pushed around. This is right, that's right, this, and you're like, I'm pretty sure at the end of the day, there are certain things that are simply right and simply wrong. I mean, they just are. Because if you're harming another against their will, that is just wrong. See, that goes against the will of the universe. That goes against what is kind and decent. This place looks like it's been really, really bad and a really scary place to be. But I think that if you understand that a lot of this is like phony baloney put in your face like a play or a movie or something like that, that you need to just back away and go, no, these are the laws that I abide by. Some of you might say 10 Commandments. Some of you, these are basic laws of just humanity, universal law, spiritual law. You just can't come grab what you want, take what you want, betray people with no consequences. See, consequences coming up. So some of us have been waiting, like, are people going to pay any consequence at all? And you're going to start to see that. And if you are on this spiritual path and you're not sure, where is the law? Where is the morality? Where is my compass? with all of this, keep it to spiritual law. It will always win out. Always. Every time will win out over man's suggestions or what they think is a great idea, or I'm a genius, let me impose this upon you because I have money. See what I mean? You have to be able to be smarter than this and go, no, that's not the law that rules me. And that is the crow, my friends. So we've gone deeper into the crow and crow medicine. I also want to say this is actually feminine medicine. Most of your Native Americans, where they are of the crow people, the crow medicine woman. So it is a feminine kind of balancing the scales and legalizing like what is okay to do to people and what is not okay. And if we don't figure out something that isn't lawlessness, like we can just do whatever to you whenever we feel like it, why would anyone be able to stay in a structure like that? That is a structure that's crumbling. It needs to crumble. People just make the rules as they go along, and they're usually not to your benefit. And so there's a point where you say, I do not consent. I am not a part of this, and get back to basic spiritual law. And if you're not sure what basic spiritual law is, I would look into that. Universal law, 4 agreements is a good one. Go back to the 4 agreements. That seems so simple. 80s and 90s. Yeah, we'll take another look at it because we're not visiting that anymore. Over progressive spiritual ideas that have put us in a position that any kind of law is good law. That is not the case. And so pull it together, people. I really feel like this is where we're going to push forward. I'm counting on you. I'm counting on you all. Like, this is the truth. This is my truth. I don't go with phony law. I go with spiritual universal law. That is the law of the Creator. So thank you very much. And this was for 13th through the 19th, around there of February. So we'll see where this takes us to the middle of the month. And I'll see you soon. Bye.